Milton's speaker begins Paradise Lost by stating that his subject will be Adam and Eve's defiance and fall from grace. He invokes a heavenly poet and asks for help in relating his ambitious story and God's plan for humankind. The action begins with Satan and his fellow revolutionary angels, who are set up chained to a lake of fire in hell. They snappily free themselves and fly to land, where they discover minerals and construct Tophet, which will be their meeting place. Inside Tophet, the revolutionary angels, who are now devils, debate whether they should begin another war with God. Beelzebub suggests that they essay to loose God's cherished new creation, humankind. Satan agrees, and levies to go himself. As he prepares to leave hell, he's met at the gates by his children, sin and death, who follow him and make a ground between hell and earth. In heaven, God orders the angels together for a council of their own. He tells them of Satan's intentions, and the Son levies himself to make the immolation for humankind. Meanwhile, Satan travels through night and chaos and finds earth. He disguises himself as a cherub to get past the archangel Uriel, who stands guard at the sun. He tells Uriel that he wishes to see and praise God's noble creation, and Uriel assents. Satan also lands on earth and takes a moment to reflect. Seeing the splendor of paradise brings him pain rather than pleasure. He reaffirms his decision to make evil his good, and continue to commit crimes against God. Satan hops over paradise's wall, takes the form of a swiller, a large raspberry, and perches himself atop the tree of life. Looking down at Satan from his post, Uriel notices the unpredictable feelings reflected in the face of this so-called cherub and warns the other angels that fraud is in their midst. The other angels agree to search the garden for interferers. Meanwhile, Adam and Eve tend the garden, precisely adhering God's supreme order not to eat from the tree of knowledge. After a long day of work, they return to their shield and rest. There, Satan takes the form of a toad and whispers into Eve's observance. Gabriel, the angel set to guard paradise, finds Satan there and orders him to leave. Satan prepares to battle Gabriel, but God makes a sign appear in the sky, the golden scales of justice, and Satan scurries down. Eve awakes and tells Adam about a dream she had, in which an angel tempted her to eat from the interdicted tree. Upset about his creation, God sends Raphael down to earth to educate Adam and Eve of the troubles they face with Satan. Raphael arrives on earth and eats a mess with Adam and Eve. Raphael relates the story of Satan's covetousness over the Son's appointment as God's alternate in command. Satan gathered other angels together who were also angry to hear this news, and together they colluded a war against God. Abdiel decides not to join Satan's army and returns to God. The angels also begin to fight, with Michael and Gabriel serving as co-leaders for heaven's army. The battle lasts 2 days, when God sends the Son to end the war and deliver Satan and his revolutionary angels to hell. Raphael tells Adam about Satan's wrong motives to loose them, and warns Adam to watch out for Satan. Adam asks Raphael to tell him the story of creation. Raphael tells Adam that God transferred the sun into chaos to produce the macrocosm. He created the earth and stars and other globes. Curious, Adam asks Raphael about the movement of the stars and globes. Eve retires, allowing Raphael and Adam to speak alone. Raphael instantly warns Adam about his putatively unappeasable hunt for knowledge. Raphael tells Adam that he'll learn all he needs to know, and that any other knowledge isn't meant for humans to comprehend. Adam tells Raphael about his first recollections of waking up and wondering who he was, what he was, and where he was. Adam says that God spoke to him and told him numerous effects, including his order not to eat from the tree of knowledge. After the story, Adam confesses to Raphael his violent physical magnet to Eve. Raphael reminds Adam that he must love Eve more purely and spiritually. With this final bit of advice, Raphael leaves Earth and returns to heaven. 8 days after his expulsion, Satan returns to paradise. After nearly studying the creatures of paradise, he chooses to take the form of the serpent. Meanwhile, Eve suggests to Adam that they work independently for a while, so they can get further work done. Adam is reluctant but also assents. Satan searches for Eve and is pleased to find her alone. In the form of a serpent, he talks to Eve and respects her on her beauty and saintliness. She's amazed to find a beast that can speak. She asks how he learned to speak, and he tells her that it was by eating from the tree of knowledge. He tells Eve that God actually wants her and Adam to eat from the tree, and that his order is simply a test of their courage. She's reluctant at first, but also reaches for a fruit from the tree of knowledge and eats. She becomes distraught and quests for Adam. Adam has been busy making a wreath of flowers for Eve. When Eve finds Adam, he drops the wreath and is affrighted to find that Eve has eaten from the interdicted tree. Knowing that she has fallen, he decides that he'd rather be fallen with her than remain pure and lose her. So he eats from the fruit as well. Adam looks at Eve in a new way, and together they turn to lust. God incontinently knows of their defiance. He tells the angels in heaven that Adam and Eve must be penalized, but with a display of both justice and mercy. He sends the Son to give out the corrections. The Son first punishes the serpent whose body Satan took, and condemns it no way to walk upright again. Also the Son tells Adam and Eve that they must now suffer pain and death. Eve and all women must suffer the pain of parturition and must submit to their misters, and Adam and all men must hunt and grow their own food on a depleted earth. Meanwhile, Satan returns to hell where he's saluted with cheers. He speaks to the devils in Tophet, and everyone believes that he has beaten God. Sin and death travel the ground they erected on their way to earth. Shortly later, the devils reluctantly transfigure into snakes and try to reach fruit from imaginary trees that shrivel and turn to dust as they reach them. God tells the angels to transfigure the earth. After the fall, humankind must suffer hot and cold seasons rather of the harmonious temperatures before the fall. On earth, Adam and Eve sweat their approaching doom. They condemn each other for their defiance and come decreasingly angry at one another. In a fit of rage, Adam wonders why God ever created Eve. Eve begs Adam not to abandon her. She tells him that they can survive by loving each other. She accepts the blame because she has defied both God and Adam. She ponders self-murder. Adam, moved by her speech, forbids her from taking her own life. He remembers their discipline and believes that they can legislate vengeance on Satan by remaining biddable to God. Together they supplicate to God and rue. God hears their prayers and sends Michael down to earth. Michael arrives on earth and tells them that they must leave paradise. But before they leave, Michael puts Eve to sleep and takes Adam up onto the loftiest hill, where he shows him a vision of humankind's future. Adam sees the sins of his children, and his children's children, and his first vision of death. Affrighted, he asks Michael if there's any volition to death. Generations to follow continue to stray by lust, rapacity, covetousness, and pride. They kill each other selfishly and live only for pleasure. Also Michael shows him the vision of Enoch, who's saved by God as his warring peers attempt to kill him. Adam also sees the story of Noah and his family, whose virtue allows them to be chosen to survive the flood tide that kills all other humans. Adam feels guilt for death and happiness for humankind's redemption. Next is the vision of Nimrod and the Tower of Babel. This story explains the misutilization of pure language into the numerous languages that are spoken on earth today. Adam sees the triumph of Moses and the Israelites, and also casts the sun's immolation to save humankind. After this vision, it's time for Adam and Eve to leave paradise. Eve awakes and tells Adam that she had a veritably intriguing and educating dream. Led by Michael, Adam and Eve sluggishly and sorrowfully leave paradise hand in hand into a new world.